Hi, everybody. It's Bruce here. Part 2 of our trip to London for 2023. What you're looking at here is, of course, Trafalgar Square. Fountains weren't working here on this day in August, but the people were out and about, or as we like to say in Canada, oot and aboot. Here's one of the statues, I guess, in Trafalgar Square. Just giving you some perspective of how small those people are compared to this thing. As I zoom out, you'll be able to see how tall this structure is. And it's this square, I guess, commemorates the Battle of Trafalgar, and that's all the details I can give you. A beautiful night. We were in the late afternoon here. Gorgeous blue skies were out. It was calm. Just a beautiful day. Off to the right there, where the trees are, you'll see in a moment, is Canada House, the Canada High Commission to UK, England. The ambassador of Canada, I guess, uses this as his offices. And there's some construction going on here, and the sun was setting, so there's a bit of a glare. Don't mind me. Behind us is the National Portrait Gallery, and for those of you curious, this is where Jen and I hung out with George, Paul, George, and Ringo. I guess it was John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Jennifer likes to remind me it's John, Paul, George, and Ringo, the Beatles, here in the National Photo Gallery. We'll get to that in just a moment. This 360, I couldn't get enough of it. Saw this church here, very pretty. At the back of this big building you were just looking at right here is a little tiny square. If you came upon this square just walking along, you wouldn't think anything of it. You'd go, oh, this is a nice little area here. There's a picture of David Bowie, the National Portrait Gallery, and cars coming and going, and buses, and you name it. Taxis. Beautiful area, beautiful areas to walk through, folks taking a rest. But just behind me, if you turn 180, Bruce, you will see this building right here. It's the back of the building you were just looking at Trafalgar Square. It is the National Portrait Gallery. And the best part of this is you can enter this building free of charge. Go inside here and you can come into the Paul McCartney exhibition. Catch is you have to pay £22 to get into this, but I'll tell you right now, it's worth it. Check this out. Paul McCartney photographs, 1963-64, Eyes of the Storm. He was basically taking photos from the inside of the hurricane out. It said here in 2020, a trove of nearly 1,000 photographs taken by Paul McCartney on a 35mm film camera were rediscovered in the musician's archive. They are a personal record of his time with the Beatles at a critical moment in the group's evolution. Through his lens, Paul McCartney captured the Beatles' extraordinary journey city by city from Liverpool and London in late 63 to Paris and then the USA, February 64. The group's televised performances on the Sullivan Show were watched by nearly 73 million people. Absolutely incredible. The photos here are so genuine, and you can really get an idea of what the guys were going through as individuals while they became worldwide famous in a very short period of time. Now, these guys had been working their butts off for years in Hamburg, Liverpool, and other places, doing one-night stands all over the place. And now, all of a sudden, they were about to break out big time. And I have something coming up here in a moment I want to show you. You may want to pause your screen in a moment once I explain to you what it is you're going to be looking at. This document that you're about to see in just a moment blew my mind. It's right here. This is the weekly pay stub for Paul McCartney. Ended just December 13th, 1963. And it shows on the left expenses. On the right, it shows income coming in for the group. And then it shows how much Paul McCartney got paid for 1 week's work. It was about £785 or so, which if you multiply by about, I would say roughly 20, it's about £15,000 today. Incredible. Here is the handwritten lyrics to I Wanna Hold Your Hand. I can tell you folks, you come into this exhibit and you see stuff like this, you just stop and you look and you cannot believe what you're looking at. The handwritten notes to this unbelievable song that just transformed these guys. Absolutely phenomenal. I tried to capture the walls of the place. This is my amateurish, of course, iPhone 11 version of what you're looking at here. The photos on the wall, the itinerary in Paris is listed here. This is really cool. Various artists and Brian Epstein that they were with, and other musicians that they were touring with. Some of the photos are 8 by 10s, 12 by 16s. Some are 2 feet by 3 feet. Some of them are even bigger. And they were in Paris when their song, I Want to Hold Your Hand, hit #1 in America. And that is when the signal was given, let's go to the USA. And, of course, they were contracted to play on the Ed Sullivan Show. And, again, Paul was taking photos of the guys behind the scenes, backstage, in hotel rooms, during, before gigs, just after gigs, during photo shoots, when they were waiting around. He would take advantage of the great lighting that these photo studios had, and he would take photos. Photographers, of course, were assigned to follow the guys. These are two of the photographers that followed them in New York. And, these guys are in their 20s. They're having a great time. Look at the guy with the hat back there. He's one of those hardened journalists, maybe not having as much of a good time. But I would say in later years, he would say this was one of the biggest stories he ever covered. The three lads were out in Central Park in New York. George Harrison was suffering from tonsillitis, so he took a day off and just stayed in the hotel. And the guys went out posing for photos. Here's Paul taking a photo from inside the limo while members of the press and the public are running after the vehicle, trying to get anywhere near these guys, just to see them, to talk to them, or photograph them, or what have you. And it's just mayhem in the streets of New York. Absolutely unreal. Again, he is in the middle of the storm, showing us what's going on. Look at this photo here. This is one of the most iconic photos of all of them. It's a black and white shot. John Lennon, bored to tears. Can't wait to get this over with. This is backstage, I believe, at the Ed Sullivan Theater, on either rehearsal day or just before going on, waiting. This is a rehearsal day shot because you can see Paul's suit is different color than the guys. They all wore black, but this was a rehearsal earlier in the day with the camera crews figuring out which camera would be covering what part of what song and so on, sound checks and everything else. An iconic photo coming up here. I've never seen this photo before. This is Ringo in the commercial break, just before they started their set in front of 73 million Americans live Sunday night. And within 30 seconds of this photo, his life would be changed forever. If he wasn't famous now, he was about to become world famous in a moment. And the technicians are there getting him ready and making sure the microphones are working. Incredible. After they did New York, they went to Washington and then to Miami, and Paul started using color film to get, again, shots of the guys. They had a few days off in Miami. I think they had a week off, which was really welcomed. And John is trying to de-stress and get ready for his new life that's about to happen. This exhibit is worth every penny to go to, whether you're flying in from North America or not. Get over here to London, go to the National Portrait Gallery, check this out. I was in here for 2.5 hours. I could not get the smile off my face as I was watching photo after photo after photo of this incredible, really 4-month time window in the lives of the Beatles. And I sure hope Paul McCartney, or Sir Paul McCartney, will release more of these photos to the public. Here's George, barely 21 years old, going, is this the rest of my life? Is this what my life is going to be like from now on? I don't know. I got to figure myself out. How many songs can I get on an album, by the way? He's wondering. I think he's being handed a drink right here by a rather nice nice young lady. There you go. This is worth your while. In the rest of London, we really enjoyed ourselves. We went to Harrods one day, and we went to the chocolate department in the Harrods department store. This is huge. There are probably 150 people in here buying or tasting or sampling chocolates. Absolutely amazing. We went to Covent Garden for an afternoon and just walked around and just saw the sights. And I gotta say, you go to Harrods department store, you're surrounded by tourists and, let's say, locals. You come to Covent Gardens and you are really surrounded by 80% tourists. But you have to go here. It's such a unique place from 100 plus years ago in time. These shops are quaint, unique, although in some cases these shops are very authentic. In other cases, some of these shops are very, touristy with T-shirts and keychains and that kind of stuff. But it's neat to see this type of architecture and this layout. There's entertainment going on down below. We're on the main level here of Covent Garden and the South Hall. Down below, the basement level, is where they have additional performers and cafes, more stores, bathrooms, that kind of thing. The pie shop is there. Even on the second floor, they have some shops, really unique one-off shops. There was a beautiful toy store here with really cool fold-out type books and stuff. Just outside Covent Garden, you can see the hordes of people. We were here the last weekend of August 2023, and it was the weekend, and we found out that this is what they call the Bankers Holiday Long Weekend, and it's your last kick at the can for summer holiday adventures with your friends, your wife, your kids. And so there were a lot of children around, a lot of families around, meandering about. And, of course, starting September, school is back. And so, Covent Garden warehouse area will get quiet and will start to slow down. By November, it'll get very Christmassy looking, and they will attempt to revive business for the Christmas holidays. But it starts to get cool out and wet and kind of clammy, so you gotta watch yourself. But right now, this time of year, it's wonderful. Obviously, in June, July, it could have hit the 90s and it would be unbearably hot. But this time of year, end of July or end of August, very nice. The architecture, I just can't stop taking photos of this architecture. You're walking around as a non-UK resident. You're not used to this. I mean, come on. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, wherever you are folks are from. This architecture. My God, look at this building. My goodness, this would be the star of my city if it was in Calgary. For uniqueness, here in London, it's just another one of these. Another one of these buildings. There are, of course, a lot of shops that are unique, and then there are some not, like here's Five Guys from the USA. Burger King is here, KFC, McDonald's, they're all here. These tourist trap type areas are just infested with the massive chain type stores. There's Starbucks everywhere. But then there are the unique mom and pop cafes and unique pubs, and it's a nice mix. Here is the theater district. This really is a big square here, surrounded by restaurants and casinos, street performers, and flashing lights, and it is pure tourist trap central. But it's different, and it isn't Vegas. It's not Disneyland. It's real, and it's okay to come and take a look at. Jen and I spent a lot of our time, though, at some of the other, more authentic exhibits in London this time around. But we got a fair share of this area here. I really like the top of this building way down here. That's the Hippodrome. which is a casino, and I thought that was pretty cool up there. Something from, ancient times, but that's likely only about 50 years old, but whatever. Yeah, pretty neat. The square here is unique. People relaxing and just enjoying themselves, reading a book or texting to their friends. And as I was panning around, I noticed there was a statue of Shakespeare. Well, that would make sense. We're in the theater district. It would make sense. And I was zooming in on the statue of William Shakespeare. Poor Will. Check this out. As I zoomed in on his noggin here. Here we go. You'll see what's on top of his head. The poor guy. His life has come to this after all those successful plays. And all the school children around the world had to learn Shakespeare. Look what he ends up with here. A bird on top of his head taking a poop. There you go, William. Congratulations, buddy. You've made it. You're at the top of your game. Unbelievable. Anyway, Jen and I loved London. We strolled around this particular evening to a number of places. We ended up right here at this place. Give it a second. Here it comes. Whoa, yeah, you know what this is. Do you remember the movie Notting Hill? This is the Ritz, and there was a scene filmed out here with Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant where she said, "You want to come up? Do you want to come up?" We'll end it there. Thank you all for joining us. This was London 2023. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye for now.